This video is brought to you by the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team. Go to patreon.com/discgolfnerd. What's up, guys? Disc golf tips for beginners. If you're a new player, you may see some players out there on the course carrying large tournament-style backpack bags like this, or maybe you've seen some videos on YouTube of professional-level players carrying large bags with 18, 20, 25 discs, or even more, depending on the player. You might be asking yourself, how many discs do I really need in order to play disc golf, have a good time, and cover me on a lot of different shot shapes and different types of courses and different course conditions that I might run into? As far as I'm concerned, all you really need to play disc golf is one disc. If you have one disc that you can throw on a variety of different angles, whether it be hyzer, flat, or anhyzer shots, and they'll fly on those different lines, you can play your local courses and have a good time, you're good. And that's totally fine. If that's all you can do is have that one disc that allows you to get out there and enjoy the game of disc golf, that's fantastic. It would be a real shame if you just never played disc golf because you didn't feel like you had enough money to get the large bag and a whole bunch of different plastic to get out there and throw. If you only have one disc or a few discs and you get out there and throw shots and have a good time, that's awesome, and you are an absolutely valid member of the disc golf community as far as I'm concerned. But if you want to build a bag and you're asking yourself, what's a good round number to kind of set up a base level bag that will cover you on a lot of different shot shapes, and really the core discs that you need, in my opinion, to play disc golf and put together a well-rounded, solid, kind of more professional style bag, I think 8 is a really good round number, and let's break them down. First and foremost, you need a putter. I definitely recommend not throwing your main putter and only using it for putting inside the circle. If you throw it off the tee, you can hit trees or you could lose it, and that's not really ideal. So I recommend having a putter that's only used for putting. Next would be a neutral throwing putter that you can use on approaches and short drives off the tee. Something like this. This is a Link. It's a neutral putter that I can throw flat, I can throw it anhyzer, I can throw it hyzer, and it covers me on a ton of different short shots off the tee and also on approaches as well. Number 3, overstable approach disc. For me, it is the Latitude 64 Caltrup. This is a disc I can throw really hard. I know it will go straight and have a fade every time I throw it. So it's a really trustworthy, consistent disc. You want to have something in your bag that if you throw a backhand, you can just aim it out to the right a little bit, throw it strong, and know it's going to fade right to the basket. An overstable approach disc is one of the most crucial discs in your bag as far as I'm concerned. The Caltrup gets the job done for me. It's one of my most trusted discs. It could be a Zone, it could be an AVR X3, or it can even be a mid-range, something like a Justice, something you know it's very overstable. You can just aim out to the right, throw it strong, you know it's going to fade at the basket. Also a nice disc for forehand approach shots if you can throw those, which I kind of can't. Next is a neutral mid-range. This is a mid-range disc that can be your go-to, and I actually only have one mid-range on this list because you have a nice neutral one you can throw on a lot of different angles, similar to your throwing putter. You can throw it anhyzer, you can throw it flat and straight, you can throw it on some hyzer. It'll cover you on a lot of different shot shapes out there on the course. A neutral mid-range is one of the most accurate and throwable discs in your bag, something that you can trust to fly on that angle of release, start to finish throughout the flight, something that emphasizes control and accuracy over distance. This neutral mid-range is a Goby and one of my favorite discs of all time. Now we're moving into drivers. I don't necessarily feel like you have to confine yourself to having fairway drivers and distance drivers. As long as they work well for your arm speed and they're flying the way you want them to, it's really okay within there. I've never really been a fan of really slow drivers like 7 speeds or so personally, and I also don't feel as though I'm really losing a lot of accuracy throwing an 11 or 12 speed disc as well. So I don't really worry about the speed ranges too much when it comes to drivers. It's more about how they feel and how they fly. If they're flying well, it's all good. For me, the next 2 slots are actually filled by the same mold. So number 5 is an understable driver. For me, it would be my Opto Fury. This is a very understable disc. I know I can throw it flat and it will turn over. I can throw it on hyzer, it'll flip up straight. I can throw it down on a roller. It's just a really effective disc to kind of bend around corners to the right. And it's crucial to have that disc that you know will hold that turnover on that anhyzer angle all the way throughout the flight. So your understable driver is going to be great for that. The next one is a neutral driver, and that's a driver that's going to hold the release angle angle for you very well. For me, it's also a Fury, but this one is a gold line one that's brand new. It's a little bit more stable, and it basically holds the angles that I want to throw it on throughout the flight. As long as I don't overpower it, it'll pretty much take that release angle and hold it. That's a really great disc to have that covers you on a lot of different shots out there on the course. Next, you want a driver that gets good distance for your arm speed, that will fly straight and have some fade when it starts to slow down. For me, that's this particular Thrasher, or most of my Thrashers, if thrown well, will fly nice and straight and far, get good distance, but have the integrity to finish and fade out at the end of the flight. That's really nice. Nice to have that disc that you can lay into. You can throw it strong for your power, for your arm speed, for your throwing style. It will fly straight, but you can count on it hooking up and finishing at the end of the flight. So for me, that would be this particular Thrasher, a little bit pop top Z Thrasher, nice and stable for me. Lastly, you need an overstable driver, a truly overstable driver that will not turn on you at all when you throw it, have a strong fade as soon as it starts to slow down, something that you know you can throw into the wind, and you know it's very predictable, similar to your overstable approach disc. You know how it's going to behave no matter what the conditions are. You throw this thing nice and hard and it will finish out for you every time, and you don't have to worry about it flipping over accidentally. If I'm talking about my most truly overstable disc in my bag, it's this Gladiator. It's not a super overstable disc for a high level player. Again, that's kind of why all of this depends on your arm speed, and I didn't want to give you guys specific discs, just more of an overall type of disc to fill in these different slots. For me, it's the Gladiator. For a professional level player, this wouldn't be as overstable for them. So this thing, I know I can throw it as hard as I want to. It'll always just go left, and that is exactly what I want it to do, and I can also throw it into the wind. So those are the 8 core types of discs that I think all players should look into having in their bag to build a well-rounded full bag that can cover you on a lot of different shots. And then from there, you can kind of find some other discs that fill certain holes that you might have, or layer some different discs to get slight variations in there, as well as you want to kind of fill out your bag more over time. But if you're only going to stick to 8 or so discs, I think that's a great place to start. Thanks so much for watching. I'll check you later. Cheers.